How's it going, YouTube? Right, any OGs to the channel, they'll know Milwaukee jacket, we've got to do something on the MR2. Right, a few months ago, I MOT'd it, insured it, drove it probably twice, and then got a bit of an issue with it. I've got some tools there and the cam cover off, because I've been getting fuel spraying out of this area here. What I originally thought it was is you can see that hose at the back and how it connects onto here. I thought it just needed this connection remaking off, so I cut some off, remade it off, but it's not, it's coming out down there somewhere, and this whole hose has degraded. The fuel system on this has already been upgraded. I've done some modifications to this fuel rail. We'll have a look in a second because I've got another one. But what I've done is I've got a fuel return on it to this fuel pressure regulator and then going back into as a return line to the tank. This is an additional modification to the MR2s. We'll have a look how I've done this when we go inside and remove the pump cage. But what I can do is I can show you a fuel rail that I made. I've got another one. In this pile of crap, I've got a fuel rail here. This is a standard MR2 fuel rail, and what I've done is cut the ends off and welded on some adapters for the AN fittings. Same on that end. What they come with normally is it's got a little adapter on here with one of those push-in fittings that you need that horrible tool and you can never get the things out. But I've changed it for an AN fitting because I wanted an AN fitting at the other side to have a fuel return system. Quite an easy modification to do. The fuel rails that you can buy, I'm in the UK, they're an absolute pain to get hold of, so I found it easier to do this. But what I need to do on this car today is change this whole fuel line between this rail and the fuel cage, but I want to do a few extra bits as well while I'm at it. I've got some supplies here, there's some old ones left over. I've got some new braided hose, I've got some new fittings, I've got some black ones, and I've got here a Radium Engineering adapter for the fuel cage. This is the bit I didn't do before. What I did is I kind of like bodged it on and then used some Jubilee clips to hold the braided hose on. So what I'm going to do is fit this little adapter and we'll do it properly this time. So the first thing we need to do is go out to the car and remove the fuel cage from the top of the tank. If I go in the car, as you can see here, it's all plugged in. I've got a little dehumidifier there, charger, so it's constantly left on charge. Because we get into that time of year, the dehumidifier keeps it nice and dry inside the car. It makes a massive difference while it's parked up. I've pulled the seat forward because I've got to strip all this out, because on the MR2 the fuel tank's under there, so we've got to get to the top of that, and that's where the cage is, under all that crap there. So let's get that out, shall we? Right, there we are. We've got access now to the top. Under this cover, see if I can put this light somewhere useful. Under this cover here, this is the wire that goes into the fuel pump at the top of the tank. I've got to get a screwdriver or something under this and prise it up. This is some really disgusting sticky stuff. I've had it up a few times, so it's a little bit easier. First time is horrible. This is to keep all the fuel fumes out of the inside of the car, so it needs to be stuck down quite well. What I need to do is unplug this plug so I can get this out of the way, and then we can get a proper look at the cage. So let me get this out of the way. Right, there we are. There's the top of the fuel pump cage. It's all coming back to me now how I did it. This was for the original fuel pressure regulator, which was inside the cage. I've hollowed all that out. I've taken out that little ball bearing and spring, and then I've fitted the return line back into that, so I'm actually going to leave that where it is. The one that I want to change is this one here. This is the original fitting. If I clip this little yellow clip out, that'll pull up, and then that radium fitting should just fit in. We should just have a look. As you can see here, I've got another Jubilee clip. This actually will have to stay in because this is for a Civex non-return valve. I forgot I'd got that in there actually. The reason I'd put that in there is because when you leave this, the Walbro pump that I've got in there has not got a non-return valve in it. So when you leave the car for a while, all the fuel drains back down into the tank, and then it's a bit of a nightmare to start. That's why I fitted that in there. It's all coming back to me now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip this yellow clip out, take this out, we can get this ready to pull out, and then we can put the radium adapter in. We'll see if it fits. pop this out, be careful not to lose it or break it. Right, there's that little clip. I'll put that there. This should just pull out now. There we are. Pull that out of the way. In theory, this one should just push in and replace it. Let's have a look. I'm not going to fit it properly yet, but I just want to see if it actually fits. That one fits in there. And then this clip should go back in. Only problem I've got is this 90. If I stick that on it, you can see how high it sticks up. That sticks up like that, which means that'd have to go in there. And it'd be far too high to stick this back on. I'd need to make like a custom top or something to go on this. What I've managed to do is I've just been playing around with another one of the fittings, and I've managed to get one of the 180-degree ones, twist it slightly out. So what I can do is if I fit this on there, have it going out at that angle, then once this is all plugged in, this will actually fit back on and I can get this back down. So I can get this squeezed back into that corner and get it round and going in like that. So that's what I'm going to do. So the next thing we need to do is disconnect this from the fuel rail side and pull this through and pull the new hose through. So if I look in here, take this off, you can see there that. So I need to undo that and then I can get that hose out the back there and then we can pull through the new hose. Right, that's that off and ready. So what I need to do is use this one to pull through the new one. If I undo this non-return valve there, let's see if I can tape the new hose onto this old one and pull it through, and then I won't have to get under the car. All I've done is used a bit of insulation tape just to tape the two ends together. Keep this as smooth as possible. As long as it doesn't jam, then this will hold it. And just to make sure, I've ran out the hose so it's perfectly straight all the way down. So in theory, it shouldn't jam on anything. As long as I don't pull it too hard, that should pull through. So let's give it a go. I can pull it through from this side. If I feel it get too stiff, then I need to stop. Ah, shit. I can actually see it down there, so I'll get my hand in and I'll get that pulled through. Right, this is what I get for trying to film and do it at the same time. If I could squeeze my hand down there. Right, I've got it. Right, there it is. I've got another 90-degree fitting. I need to fit this one to the end of it. Get that one on the end of there. Then we can put it back on this fuel rail. Right, I'll not show you how to make off an AN fitting on this one because this is really nicely cut, you can see. What we'll do is I'll show you how to fit an AN fitting on the other end when we need to cut the hose. So I'll get this one on first and then we'll do the other end. Right, there's that end on. What I will do is I'm going to tape it to there because I don't want it to pull all the way back down when I do the other end, but I do want it. What you could do is you could fit it to the rail and then pull it back and make sure it's all nice to length. But if I get a problem with this later, I want to be able to pull it out. So what I will do is I'm going to tape this on there just so it's got enough length just to do something with later, and then I can pull it back from the other end nice and tight. Right, there's that end taped up. If I grab this end, pull it nice and tight, that gets rid of a load of slack up that end. We want a bit of play, but I don't want too much. What I need to do with this end now is I need this to tuck into there, and then this has got to go all the way around and then come up to this. But I need a bit more because we've got that non-return Cyvex valve to go in. So if I cut this off, then it should tuck back under here and go all the way around. There's various ways you can cut these. What I'm going to use is I've got these big cutters here. This is meant for cable. You're not really supposed to cut stainless steel with it, but these ratchet cutters, they'll cut that off nice. A lot of people use an angle grinder, which is fine, but I don't want to use an angle grinder that close to the tank. So we'll cut this end off, and then what we'll do is this bit with a filter on there, we'll make this up and we'll have a look how to do that. However you decide to cut it, best thing you can do is get a bit of masking tape, put that round first to stop all this braiding splaying out. So I'm going to cut it right in the middle of there, just like that. A bit wonky handed. There you are. Then this masking tape, that stops it splaying out, so we'll leave that masked up like that for now. Right, this end, we need to take this and we need to fit that filter in. It's a bit of a shame, to be honest, that I forgot about this filter, else I could have ordered one of these with AN fittings rather than these little push fittings. So I'm going to have to use this one, I'm going to have to use it with these Jubilee clips for now. What I'll do is I'll order one of those with the AN fittings, and then later on what it'll do is it'll screw on there like that, and it'll have those fittings on either side of the valve, and I can do that properly. I'll do that later, but for now what I'll have to do is I'll have to fit this one back on like this with these Jubilee clips. But as long as it doesn't leak, we'll be fine. This one's not leaked, it's been in there about 5 years, so it's been fine, to be honest. Right, so let's have a look at making off these AN fittings here. So all these are is this bit screws off, this bit goes over the braiding, and this bit goes inside and squashes it out to make the seal. Best way I find to fit these is like this. As I said before, use your choice way of cutting. It's probably easier if you do this and clamp this in a vise, and then you can cut it with a cutting disc. As long as you're well away from your fuel, obviously, you can cut this with a cutting disc and it cuts it nice. Not many people are going to have these. These are for cutting large cables. Your only other way is do it with a hacksaw, but make sure before you do it, you always tape it up, and then at least it keeps all the braiding together. Once you've got it cut, you can take your tape off. This one's quite a majority of a fabric braiding. The other one I've got is a stainless steel braiding. This one's fabric and it's got stainless steel inside it. So what we need to do is take this bit and I cram it all in there. Use my fingernail to make sure it's all pushed in, and then twist and push and get it all the way in. That's really important, that you want to get it buttered up right into the end. Make sure it's all the way in. Then the next thing I do is I get a bit of tape. I'll tape it round just behind there, just to show that whatever I'm doing, this pipe is not coming off of this. So if you start seeing a gap between this and this tape, then you know that your pipe's pushing out. Take this bit, lubricate it however you so wish, and then you can start working it into this. It should go in quite easy to start with. Checking all the time that you're not pushing this pipe out. So as soon as you see a gap there, you know you're pushing it out, so you have to take it out and start again. Get it in as far as you can by hand. Once it starts getting stiff, you can get your spanners out. This one's not bad because this one's 19 and this one's 17, so it makes it really easy to slip a 19 over everything and hold it there. As I said before, this is much easier when it's in a vise, but I'll do it by hand. The 17mm, this one I can use to tighten it up. And then just keep going until it's tightened in. Always making sure that you're not pushing the pipe out. Right, once it's tight, what I do is I go a bit more until these nuts are lined up, and you can get that spanner off nice and easy then. Take this tape off and then you're done. That's how you fit the AN fittings to your braided hose. What I would normally do is I'd cut this off there, fit another one, and then screw this non-return valve on, do the same on the other bit, and then screw that on, but I can't do it on this for now. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm just going to have to cut it off and fit a Jubilee clip like that. So that's what I'm going to do. But I'll leave enough so I can cut it off again and put one of those AN fittings on a bit later on when I get a replacement for this. Right, there we are. I've got the non-return valve going the right way. This is completely the wrong way to do it, so don't do this. Then completely the wrong type of fitting for these hoses, so I'll get one of these on order and I'll change it as soon as I can. But what I need to do now is I need to fit this now onto the hose we've got and fit this onto the top of the tank. Right, there's that in. As I said, really not the best way to do it, but that's how it's going to have to be for today. So what I can do now is I can tuck that back, push it in there. We can feed this in, and then what I'll do is I'll get this in on there, get it in the right position so I can get the lid on. Right, there we are in that position. I've just tried the lid and it does fit down. I'm not going to fasten it down properly yet because in a minute I want to make sure it's not leaking from anywhere, but that's how it'll fit, and it does actually go on. All I need to do at this end is untape this and then feed it in from the back and fasten this onto the end of the fuel rail, so I'll get that done now. Right, you can't really see it back there, but that's on. Let's put this on, see if the car starts. and see if we've got any fuel leaks anywhere. It's not been started for a few months either, so it might take a bit of starting. Right, even though it's been on charge, it looks like my battery's about knackered, so what I'll do is I'll get a jumper pack on it. I did let that battery completely run out once before I put this charger on, so that's probably killed the battery. I'll have to get a new one. Right, let's try again. Right, ran the car up to temperature. We've got no leaks at all there. We had no leaks at all under there. The bit I was worried about more than anything was that non-return valve, but I checked that. That's been perfectly fine. It's been ticking over for ages. This is pushed back on. I've got that fitted. So what I can do now is build all this area. I've put the cover back on the engine. As you can see, I'll give it a quick wipe over just to tidy it up a bit because it was absolutely awful. This battery at the front, this is absolutely shot. It ran out completely. I forgot to put it on charge. I left it too long. I was hoping I could recover it, but I can't. It's absolutely shot. I need a new one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pack away for the minute. I'm going to have a look inside on the computer, see if I can find one of these batteries in stock somewhere. Go and pick it up, assuming I can get one, and then let's get it out for a drive and see if we can clean it up a little bit. So I'll see you in a second on what we're going to do next. Actually, one little job I need to do before we can go anywhere is this has come off here. I need to bolt that back on as well before we can go anywhere. I've ordered a battery. I can't get one today. It's going to come in a few days time. So what I've done is I've put this other one on charge. I've got my bigger charger on it, see if I can get it charged up a bit better. And what I'll do is I'm charging up my jump starter as well, because I'm definitely going to finish this video on a drive. Right, bumper's bolted up. I've put a little plate across the back of that. Inside's all back together again. One more job I need to do today. It's going to get dark pretty quick because it's November. One more little job I want to do is I want to take this off because, like an idiot, this BOV, I've had it pointed up. The water's come in through there, gone in there, and it's seized it. So what I want to do is I'm going to strip this down now, see if I can make it work again. If not, I'll just have to bypass it for now. Nice. What an idiot. Right, that's all done. Took quite a bit of doing that, but it's nice and clean now and it's all working again. So I'll get this back together and get it back on the car. Right, that's all back on. It's pointing downwards now, so it won't get full of water again. Hopefully that'll work. We'll find out tomorrow. Garage is a mess like usual. Right, so I'm going to shut up. It's getting dark now. We'll try this again in the morning. Let's take it out for a drive. I had to wait for the battery to come to get that drive in, but I wanted to finish on a drive. So like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want some more randomness, and I'll catch you guys again later in another video. Cheers.